Adjoa's latest business trip had been a whirlwind of meetings and presentations, but now, as her plane descended into Abuja, her mind was filled with thoughts of home. She smiled to herself, imagining the warm welcome she would receive. Her trip had been cut short. She was supposed to return next week, but now she had the chance to surprise the two people she loved most. She briefly considered calling Femi to pick her up from the airport but quickly dismissed the idea. A surprise would be so much sweeter. They'll be thrilled, she thought, her heart warming at the image of Femi's wide grin and her mother's welcoming hug. As she reached her home, excitement bubbled within her. The house stood quiet and serene in the afternoon light, and she couldn't help but feel a rush of anticipation. Fumbling with her keys, she finally managed to unlock the door, stepping into the silent hallway. "Where's everyone?" Adjoa wondered, her heels clicking softly against the polished floor. A smile tugged at her lips as she thought of them napping or perhaps out for a stroll. She decided to head upstairs, eager to find them and break the happy news of her early return. But as she reached the top of the stairs, a strange feeling gripped her, a cold, creeping unease. The house was too quiet, almost unnervingly so. She pushed the thought aside, shaking her head at her own paranoia. "Femi. Mama." She called out, but there was no answer. Heart pounding a little faster, Adjoa made her way to the bedroom. The door was slightly ajar, and she gently pushed it open, expecting to find Femi and her mother, perhaps deep in conversation or quietly resting. But what she saw on the other side of that door shattered her world. Once upon a time, in the vibrant city of Abuja, lived Adjoa, a woman whose life many admired. As a high-powered executive, she effortlessly balanced her demanding career with the warmth of a loving home. Strong and independent, she managed both her professional and personal life with grace and ease. Her husband, Femi, a successful and charming businessman, was her true partner in every sense. Together, they shared a deep bond built on mutual respect and love. Adjoa's mother, Abin, was her guiding light, providing wisdom and support through all of life's challenges. One evening, as Adjoa prepared for an important business trip, she hugged her mother goodbye. "I'll be back before you know it, Mama," she said with a smile. "Safe travels, my daughter," Abin replied, her voice soft and warm. "We'll be here waiting for you." Femi stepped in to give her a kiss. "Don't work too hard, love. We'll miss you," he said, his smile sincere. Adjoa laughed. "I won't, I promise. Take care of Mama for me." With that, she left for her trip, unaware that this would be the last time her world would feel whole. A few days later, Adjoa's business meeting wrapped up earlier than expected. Excited to surprise her family, she caught an earlier flight home. She imagined their smiles when she walked through the door unannounced. But when she arrived home, everything changed. As she quietly opened the bedroom door, she froze. There, on the bed, were Femi and her mother, Abin, in an embrace that shattered her heart. The room, once her sanctuary, now felt like a scene from a nightmare. There, entangled in a compromising embrace, were Femi and her mother, Abin, oblivious to her presence. For a moment, Adjoa couldn't process what she was seeing. It was as if time had stopped, the image burning into her mind. Then reality hit her like a freight train, and the air was sucked from her lungs. "No! No! No!" she screamed, the words tearing from her throat in a raw, anguished cry. Her voice echoed through the silent house, filled with a pain so deep it felt like it would consume her whole. Femi and Abin jerked apart, their faces paling as they turned to see Adjoa standing in the doorway, her face twisted in horror and disbelief. "How could you?" Adjoa's voice trembled with disbelief, her world crumbling before her eyes. Femi jumped up, panic flashing across his face. "Adjoa, I can explain." "Explain what?" Adjoa cut him off, her voice rising. "How you betrayed me. How both of you did." Abin, tears streaming down her face, tried to reach out to her daughter. "Adjoa, please, it's not what you think. I don't know what happened. Adjoa shook her head, stepping back, her face pale with shock. No, Mama. It's exactly what I think. You and him. How could you do this to me? Unable to bear it any longer, Adjoa ran from the house, her mind racing with pain and confusion. The betrayal from the two people she trusted most was too much to comprehend. Days turned into weeks, and Adjoa's pain only deepened. Femi tried to reach out to her, begging for forgiveness. Adjoa, please, I made a terrible mistake. It was a moment of weakness. A moment of weakness. Adjoa spat, her voice cold. You betrayed everything we had. Everything. Femi hung his head, knowing he had lost her. I know, and I'm sorry. But I love you. Can't we try to move past this? There's nothing to move past, Femi. You broke us. You and Mama both, Adjoa replied, her voice steely with resolve. As the weeks turned into months, Adjoa realized that she couldn't continue living in the same house, in the same life that had been so completely shattered. One evening, she sat Femi down in the living room, her expression hard and determined. We can't go on like this, Femi, she said, her voice firm. I want a divorce. Femi's face fell, and he shook his head, desperation creeping into his voice. Adjoa, please, don't do this. We can fix this, we can go to counseling, we can. There's nothing left to fix, Adjoa interrupted, her voice cold. You and Mama destroyed everything. I don't want to spend another day pretending that we can go back to how things were. But we love each other, Femi pleaded. Doesn't that count for anything? It did, Adjoa replied, her voice softening slightly. But not anymore. I'll have my lawyer send you the papers. The divorce was a painful process, dragging on for months as they untangled their lives from each other. The legal battles were bruising, as both sides fought over everything from property to reputation. Femi's pleas for reconciliation fell on deaf ears, and Adjoa's heart hardened with each passing day. As the divorce finalized, Adjoa threw herself into her work, trying to rebuild her life piece by piece. The once happy home she had shared with Femi was now a battleground of silence, and the community soon learned of the affair. The whispers and gossip were relentless, turning the once admired couple into a warning tale. Meanwhile, Abin, consumed by guilt and sorrow, became a shadow of her former self. She spent her days in silence, her once vibrant spirit crushed by the weight of what she had done. The bond between mother and daughter, once so strong, was now a fragile thread, frayed by betrayal and pain. Years later, Abuja had changed, and so had Adjoa. She had built a new life, one where she was in control, where no one could hurt her again. Success became her shield, protecting her from the wounds of the past. One evening, at a charity event, Adjoa spotted her mother across the room. Their eyes met briefly, and in that moment, there was a silent understanding, a shared sadness for what had been lost. Adjoa turned away, her heart heavy but resolute. She knew that forgiveness was a journey, and she wasn't there yet. But she also knew that she couldn't let the past define her future. Life went on, and Adjoa found peace, though it was hard-won. The scars of betrayal remained, but they were now a part of who she was, a symbol of her resilience and strength. Then, one rainy afternoon, a knock at Abin's door disrupted the fragile peace she had found. It was Toyo, an old friend who had stood by her during the darkest days. But now, Toyo was a frail woman, her once strong voice reduced to a whisper. Toyo, what brings you here? Abin asked, concern in her voice. I need to tell you something terrible, Toyo began, her voice shaking. I was jealous of you, of your life and Adjoa's success. So I did something unforgivable. I went to a medicine man, and I asked him to curse you. That's why you did what you did with Femi. Abin's face went pale as she absorbed the words. You did this to me? To my family? Toyo nodded, tears in her eyes. Yes, and I'm so sorry. I didn't realize the pain it would cause. I was wrong, and now I'm dying. I just needed you to know the truth before it's too late. The revelation was like a knife to the heart, reopening old wounds. Abin was speechless, her mind swirling with emotions. When Adjoa learned of Toyo's confession, she felt the familiar sting of betrayal, but this time it was mixed with something new, a deep, aching sorrow. The woman who had been her mother's friend, who had supported her during the worst time of her life, had been the cause of it all. Adjoa's anger flared. How could she do this, Mama? How could anyone be so cruel? I don't know, my daughter, Abin replied, her voice weak with despair. But she's paying the price now. Adjoa was torn. Part of her wanted to hold on to the anger, to let it fuel her, but another part of her was tired of the pain, the resentment, and the constant battle with her emotions. In the end, Adjoa made a choice. She decided to forgive Toyo, not because she deserved it, but because Adjoa needed to let go. I can't carry this hate anymore, Mama. It's too heavy. Abin nodded, tears in her eyes. I understand, my daughter. We've both carried enough pain. The rain outside continued to fall as Adjoa stood by her mother's side. They held hands, a silent understanding passing between them. The past was heavy, but together, they could start to heal, one step at a time. And as the storm outside began to fade, so too did the storm in their hearts, leaving room for the possibility of peace, forgiveness, and a new beginning. The end. Thank you for watching this story. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and loved ones. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more interesting and captivating stories like this one and hit the bell icon so that you never miss any update. We love to hear your thoughts about the story in the comment below. Thanks again for watching.